It has to be, the definition of race has to be that not everybody is alike.
And to me, I would say race has to do with basic groups like white, black, Asian. Race could have, like, you could have a race like Asian and then have a lot of cultures within that race, like Filipinos, Chinese, Japanese, they're all Asians, but yet they have different cultures. I find myself as a subgroup of the white race, so I'm Hispanic.
Yes, and I'm Hispanic, Mexicana.
Yeah, and then within the Hispanics, we're Mexicanos, Mexican.
Do you identify yourself with or a sub of a white group because in the past there had only been like black and white when they would ask you your race?
That's part of it. We had in school, when I was growing up, they taught us that we were white, in part because we were mestizos, so a combination of Spanish and Mexican Indian, the Indian people from Mexico. So that was part of the reason we were taught that. Up until I was almost 15, I grew up in this small rural town in Mexico, central Mexico. For me, the people that lived in my town were very homogeneous. In other words, we had no blacks and no whites. Everybody was pretty much the same as me. So, and then they taught us that when we identified ourselves, we were of the white race. So I pretty much went along with that. We were not exposed to any other ideas or concepts about race, and so that was sufficient for me. Race was not part of my consciousness so much as just the fact that I didn't speak English. That was more of a factor because I went to school where in Mountain View, and at the time there was not that many Spanish-speaking teachers or students, and so it was just a different world.
I work in a bank where one of the top managers happened to be a woman. Didn't like Mexicans at all, and I mean, I could really see it. She would just be very rude to me, and she thought, for whatever reason, she treated me like she wasn't my direct supervisor. However, she was up in a higher position. So meaning whether I met her in the hall or in the lobby or whatever, she was always sort of nasty to me in a way. Or she will get up and leave the room if I happen to walk into the kitchen area or whatever. I mean, she was that type of person.
It's an issue, still an issue for us, and having a black president has given this issue more visibility, and so as a consequence more people are able to think about it and talk about it. And I think to talk about it is always good, at least in this case, because I think a lot of times people, after discussing it and talking about it, I think people will realize and recognize that whatever reason they may have to somehow disqualify a person because of their race, in this case because they're African American, to disqualify him on that basis, I think most people are just going to recognize that that is not a good basis to disqualify a person, to discriminate against that person.